guys, we are here for another international interview, and today we will be pleased to meet Russian modelist Alexander Pedan. Alexander works with plastic models of transport vehicles, especially trucks, on the 135 scale. Hello, Alexander.
Greetings for everyone. Today I'm going to answer some Eric's questions about my modeling life, about my modeling processes.
So let's start. Question number 1. How it is your creative process of work? Do you make any project? In the end of the implementation, does the result stay the same as the first idea, or does it change during the execution?
Well, when I'm going to build the model, I usually search the internet for the interesting pictures of a prototype to choose the good-looking model. Usually it's about colors to make model look more interesting. Interesting colors, different colors of the cabin and the rear body if we talk about the trucks. And then I must select how dirty the model should be. It can be a little contrast, lower part of the model and the upper part of the model. The upper part can be almost clean and the lower part can be heavily dirty. And so when I start painting, I can select the prototype or imagine the model that can appear in the end until the very beginning of the painting. So when I build the model, I can continue searching for interesting pictures, and then when I start painting, usually I can completely imagine what will I get in the end, but usually sure it can be changed because of some mistakes maybe that I made working on the model or painting the model. So it's normal for me, I guess. Then if there are some problems with painting, some places can be hidden by the dirt, by mud, or wet effects, something like this.
Okay, you rely on real-world photos. You try to detail individual parts of the models and the result may vary through the process. Question number 2. What do you consider more important? Tools, good materials, techniques, or skills?
What about what is more important for me? I would say that the most important thing is techniques or skills. I've tried several good materials from producers around the world, and I can say that they are good maybe for newbies who start working, who start with weathering of the models. And now I can say that not all of them are necessary to build and paint a good model. As for me, I try to work more with oil paints, so I can get all the needed effects, working only with oil paints to make dust or dirt or streaks. I've tried working with liquids from ammo or AK, and I can say they are not bad, they are good, but as for me it is easier to work with oils. So I would say that good skills and good techniques are more important for me to get the good model, but every modeler selects by himself is
Interesting. You consider the techniques and skill as most important, and you use good products. Question number 3. What is the most important aspect from the aesthetic point of view so that you have a good model of this that draws attention for the balance of scenes?
Well, it's a good question. I would say that the most important thing to make an interesting model is to show some eye catchers, maybe. The model can look very interesting, but not being heavily worn. Not much chipping or peeled paint, or heavily dirty or heavily rusty. It's not needed as for me, but I tried making models looking like that. They were heavily worn. I think that every modelist should pass that way to understand when to stop, because there is no aim to build the dirty toy. The main thing is to make the model look interesting, but look realistic. When I built Entar's truck, it was almost clean, but I made some splashes of mud, like the truck was driving over the puddle of mud, for example, and there are splashes of mud only on one or two wheels and around them. The main things is to understand the limits, to understand when and where to stop, to make the model look like a real truck or real tank. Maybe I don't build planes, so I can't say anything about building planes. But that's my opinion.
For you, an interesting model is a model that looks real, and that the end result does not look like a toy. Question number 4. What would you say to beginners? How should they behave in face of so many technicians and specialists?
Beginners, it's easier to paint good models for beginners now, because they have many interesting materials that make the process more interesting, more easier, because they can draw streaks or show splashes of mud or rust, everything you want. But for beginners, it's good to understand when the model starts looking like a model, because heavily rusty model or heavily chipped model, it's look interesting, but how real is it? I can say. Sure, you can build an abandoned model, and it's okay, it's normal, but if you build only abandoned models, I think it's not very interesting as for me, but every beginner should pass his way to make his mistakes, to understand which models, which appearance of model is good enough to to look like a real vehicle, and so the main thing that I can say for beginners is try, learn, and watch pictures of other modelers things, and find your own way. And I'm sure that if you want to learn, if you want to try, you will find your own way. That's for sure.
So, for beginners, your recommendation is to look, try, learn from mistakes and find your own way of modeling. And now, the last and more important question. Who is Alexander Pedan?
Well, it's a good question. Who am I? Well, I'm a modelist. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I love my family, my wife, my daughter, my son, my dog. I love playing drums. I have a drum kit in my house. I love driving a car. I love watching trucks on the road when I stay in a traffic jam. I love watching how dirty the chassis of the truck, to mention some things, to realize then on the models. For most of you, I'm a model, first of all, and I think it's normal, it's okay for me, and I think it's okay for most of you too. So thank you for this interview. It was very interesting, and I hope to deal with you in the future, maybe in future projects. It was my first experience, and I hope it was good, and I would be glad if you like it. Thank you, and bye.
Dear Alexander Pedan, interesting to know that it was your first time. For us, we expect that should be one of several, if you don't mind. It was a pleasure to know you and the way you build your wonderful models. Kind regards from all Brazilian modelers. Be fine and safe.